Hello there, this is Guen. As this video releases, we should probably update the Mech Squad pack with the VR ready folder that you can use in that you can import to Gravity Sketch and later on export to Blender and replace it with materials in a very easy way. So as a thank you for your support, I wanted to do this demo just to show you like the process, how I start from the sketch to kit bashing and some basics of import and export and how I replace the materials in Blender. So let's get started. Once you download your updated folders, you might want to copy it in the documents, Gravity Sketch, import library, and just paste it in here. So as you can see, my file is called Mech Squad, and here are some files, and you'll see a pilots as well. So this is it. I'll see you in Gravity Sketch. Okay, we are in Gravity Sketch. First thing that I usually do is I bring Mannequin by grabbing it and putting in this box. Okay, so what it does, it gives me a sense of scale, and as you can see, I was actually facing the back, right? So this sort of shows me orientation as well. It's quite important for what we're going to do next. Let me quickly sketch something. It's not going to be anything fancy. It's just a super simple, maybe even generic mech, because good design does take time. And I really don't want to bore you guys. Joints here, torso, maybe engine over here, exhaust or something like that. No, maybe not exhaust, but knees. And Gravity Sketch introduced this new feature where you can edit multiple vertices by grabbing multiple objects and then clicking on the blue. Let me lock the mannequin. So clicking on the blue button, right? So you can also soft select by grab tool and then analog stick. Then you can do this, which definitely speeds up your work. Okay, I think we can start bringing in some of our kit packs. So usually you do it like this. So remember I showed you that I imported the files, and here's the folder. Let it load. And you wanted to bring it in the same way like we did with the mannequin, and make sure it's facing the right direction. And yes, it does. So click OK, push it away, like so. Okay, so as you see here, we made sure that the chair would be in the x-axis, so you could just simply, move it and not worry about symmetry. And all this stuff is actually up to scale, so and you can rotate it without losing the axis by, you know, losing the symmetry by just using the tool belt. The kit already has the textures in them, so later on in Blender we will just replace this material with proper ones. So this is just a diffuse map. Textures are actually done by amazing artist Evgeny Alinik, who helped us with the BMS pack. This is just diffuse because Gravity Sketch doesn't really support PBR materials at the moment, but it's totally fine. I'd much rather have a better performance, which you can see how easy I can just, grab things here and there, and how fast that is. Just made a mess. So you can manually mirror things like that, but recently we discovered there's a shortcut to it, and let me show you. So let me turn off the mirror, right? So let me show you how you actually do this. So you can just focus on one side of design, right? And then once you're done, or like in the process, you can just grab multiple objects, same way, click on the blue button and click mirror, and it will mirror everything that you had in that sphere, which is very neat. It wasn't there before. We asked for it for a long time, and Gravity Sketch shared us. I'm super excited about this. Um, Let me because I'm lazy. I'm gonna bring up the Mech Assembly kit that comes with the pack as well. Here, and make sure that it's facing the right direction. Yes. So, in the same way, we also made sure that the things that are usually in the center are in the center, but limbs you don't actually need to be in the center. Make sure you group these things first, so you don't accidentally, you see, like so. You optimize the scene. You actually, when you bring a kit like this scene doesn't lag at all. But if it does, just delete or put the stuff that you don't need in the folder and just hide it. Just to optimize the scene. These things are pretty obvious. It's not exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted this to be a torso, but okay. So here's the thing: if you just scale it like this, you might just lose you just mess up the rotation. So the best way I could think of is using a tool belt and try to snap it in the middle. Like again, if you want to be precise. Normally, I'm not that um, meticulous. I actually have a few like legs ready, so let's just bring that in there. Um, Try these two and see what works best. Let's just delete this. So this is like a already made combo that you can use. Let's say if you have tight deadline or something like that. Um, this work better? Just it's like playing with Legos, really. This seems fun. Um, okay, I'll keep this for now. Yeah, this looks like it. You could actually hold this, this whole Mac, and all I need is to find like a joint that would like a connector for that part. And let me see. This guy looks like it could work. Okay, I have this too. So yeah, it's like my go-to. So, and then you can add even more, like level of detail. Just to, we're not doing real engineering here. It's just getting like a essence of, what could work. Because a real Mac would take years to design. We just have 20 minutes. The next thing I do is, let's see if I have any like already. This guy's cool. I mean, we have this pilot chair that I could use actually. Let me try that out. So fast. This is what I like about Gravity Sketch really is the how well it handles the scenes like this. there's one thing that I like to do, and is to play with frames. I feel like this is the kind of thing that sort of I create possibilities for the happy accidents, um, because these frames are quite organic, and sometimes I get results that I wouldn't necessarily could come up with myself by just sketching. Um, so I like to play with what can happen, maybe like flip them like so. And you see, I'm starting to get something here. I'll give this a go. Instead of this, I could really, you know, have like a part here that looks like it's doing something. Yeah. You know, sometimes I don't like this would obviously this makes no sense. But yeah, let me make it better. You don't have to be restricted to only use the kit. It's just I take advantage of the beautiful texturing that is in this pack, because they're all like, you know, have the right scratches that are hand painted for each detail here. Um, I like to combine it, the kit, with the Gravity Sketch sort of, you know, default tools like Surface Tool, for example. Sort of like create this bigger shapes using Gravity Sketch. That's probably a better way to look at it. Because one of the principles of design is it's always fun. You kind of need sort of like place of rest. It's like a good portrait, right? So, for example, in my case, it would be um, here. You have big shape and then smaller details, right? So again, like big shape, smaller shape, or medium shape, right? So that play in any design, so it's like we are naturally drawn to it rather than overdone, over complicated, and just detail on top of detail on top of detail. It doesn't look good. What does what I usually do too is I don't always try to cover up this whole mech with the surface tool, but rather sort of find the places where I want to show off the detail, but sort of like hinting that there is a frame there. Um, I actually want to show off this part, and then um, so the way I do it is, let's see. So that I know gonna stay, and then actually I have a detail here that I could just use for now. It's a sort of like a dirty trick, but every time you add guns to a mech, it instantly looks cool. So I don't know. I know. Oh, you have to hold longer, and then they have it. I'm sorry. I recommend putting a surface layer on separate one, on a separate layer, and I'll explain later when we're gonna go to export part real quick. Another tip is when you use surface tool like this, I recommend subdividing it. Um, I find that, you know, my experience with non-subdivided objects is it becomes a little bit messy when you bring it to Blender, and basically it's much easier to do subdivision in Gravity Sketch than trying to clean it up in Blender. Here it is. Pilot needs sort of, this is hinting at the entrance, right? So where the pilot enters the mech. And you know what? Let's bring some of our pilots. Make sure you drop it here. Oh, by the way, don't freak out if you see like these eyes. It's just the material, you know, thing. I don't know what's the proper term for that, but basically, when you'll replace it with the proper material, it's gonna be fine. It's just a transparent layer that didn't go through or something. I don't know. Let's see. Better, but you see, the problem is, oh my goodness. We'll do it like this. So this makes a little bit more sense. Uh, okay. Here's the thing. I know that our pack includes metal materials, so which I'm going to blend with the kit itself. So I'm actually purposely I'm going to reveal some of these constructions, um, just so my model has a little bit more, you know, like a complexity to it. Because otherwise, I would just, you know, sketch something like this. But this is sort of something that is there anyways. So why not use it? One of my favorite tools is actually a volume tool on Planner. Planer? I don't know how do you spell it. So what it does, it helps you. Wait up. It helps you sketch on the flat surface. And this should in like a low poly thing. And then you can adjust the thickness of this too. It's a very neat tool. Give it a try if you haven't. You know what? Maybe we should flip it actually. So it's sort of hinting that it's a locking mechanism for this thing. You know, once it closes, so locks the. And I try to invest a little bit more time in Gravity Sketch for things like for small things like this, because I know that it's a little bit easier and faster for me to sort of like grab something and then put it in the right place. It doesn't always you know it doesn't always work 100%. And you only notice some of the stuff, some of the mistakes later when you bring it in Blender. But generally I try to, you know, do as much as I like, do my best. Okay, here's a final result in Gravity Sketch. I'll just I'm just gonna leave it like this for now. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but let's just start exporting this guy into Blender. So when you're exporting from Gravity to Blender, try to think like strategically, right? So what are the things that you can mirror in Blender using a mirror modifier easy? And I find it that it's much easier to drag things from Gravity Sketch to layers than trying to select every single part in Blender. So you kind of need to think in advance. So one of the common things is like, for example, character, I put in a separate layer. Also the surface. So the surface I have in a separate layer in case I want to say, say this thing, right? In case I want to add like a solidify modifier to it, then I can have this as a separate thing. Okay, so legs obviously should be on a separate layer. And the body, this whole thing, I can just treat it as one solid thing. And if I want to be like super precise, then like maybe the torso could be a separate thing. But for the sake of time, I'm just gonna leave it as is. This guy can probably. I'm not gonna pose the gun step much, so I'm just gonna leave it there and just export this separately. So remember I showed you how to quickly mirror something, right? So since we're gonna mirror this in Blender, I probably don't need to sort of export doubles. Apart from, oh no. Okay, so this is what we did, right? So what I can do, I can bake this real quick and then just delete this guy. Mirror this guy, bake it, and then delete this. So I'll have this. So basically what happened is that like I mirrored this guy into here and it didn't carry through, but that's that. I could probably export this together as OBJ. Yeah, let's do that just to save time, right? Let's export this as OBJ. So the difference between OBJ and FBX is that if you export as FBX, every single part that is not merged with vertices or like a separate thing, it's going to be an individual detail, right? So if you remember when we brought in like these characters, right? The head was a separate thing, as you might see that there's seams here and there. And hands and all that stuff. So if you export it as FBX, you will later have to group everything in Blender, which is pretty painful. So let's just check our settings. Single control is okay. Actually, sorry, no. Here's what happens. So surface, let me turn off surface and just export this guy, and I will explain you why in a second. OBJ, yes, okay, and then demo mech, say, too lazy, 1. So let me turn this off. And surface, just for this demo, I want to explain you why I export this as separate. Choose this as separate because I want to export this as rendered and not controlled. Basically, the general idea is like what Gravity Sketch does is like when you export something as rendered, it will basically preserve all the curves as you see here. So it will look very much like this. So Gravity Sketch basically subdivides this, I guess, into Blender. Versus when you export as controlled, this is gonna export as like a lower fidelity thing that you will have to apply a subdivision modifier in Blender, right? But oftentimes that nice curve doesn't really carry through. But keep in mind, render will give you like a heavier mesh, which I'm okay with. body. Okay, is okay. And I guess we should be, yes, I guess we should be good to go now, and I'll meet you in Blender. Okay, we're in Blender now. As you can see, I just imported our model here, and the only thing that I did is I just applied the mirror modifier to the leg, and that's about it. Um, I should probably mirror it like so. So if I choose to, play with the legs, so I can do it like that. But let's not, you know, be distracted. I really just want to show you how to bring the proper material into here, because right now we only have the diffuse texture, right? Um, in order to do that, you click append and then search where your mech kit is, and it is here. Go material, select everything, and you should have it. So if you click on this, right, you see there's a long name, and then there's Gears 2 T2 and then Gears T1. So what you really want to do is to just replace it with the good materials that we just brought in. As you can see, here it is, a proper PPR material created by Evgeny Alinik, very amazing, talented texture artist. Gears T1, pipes. This might be a little bit tedious, so I'll probably cut this video at some point and we'll just show you the final result. So I hope you get the idea. So let's say, what else is a little bit more obvious? Body T3. T2. Make sure you double check the right thing. Okay, so when it comes to surface, the one that we brought in, as you see, like it looks very much like the gravity, what we had in Gravity Sketch. Let me isolate it. But it created like this, like a pretty dense. No, this is okay, but it can get pretty heavy. So what I often do is like I go to edit mode, select everything, and click Alt J. So I don't know if you noticed, like we used to have a triangle, so Alt J just totally turns it into quads. Also make sure your normals are not flipped, right? So you can do it using Alt N. And also you see there's like a weird thing going on with the shaders or something. So what I often do is I go to geometry and clear data. See, it makes in fact I would do it to everything. You see, like there's like a weird thing going on, so clear shaders seem to solve that problem. Maybe don't need to clear shader for clear data for characters. So when it comes to characters, you basically do the same thing. Append, look for the character folder, and material. Okay, maybe another one, because I remember these ones have orange outfits, so I kind of want to use that. Okay, so we should have remove unused, and let's look at the helmet, for example. Here it is, helmet. I have 4 types of helmets. Okay, female head. It's pretty straightforward, right? Look at the lower. Yeah, but what is it? Okay, female. Number 4. Yeah. Yeah, so you get the idea, right? So when it comes to surface, right? So oh no, there's no material attached to it, but don't worry. We created the metal materials for you, which you can just apply. It's basic. It's a basic box projection, so it's basically designed for this type of stuff, right? Like the one that you can create in either Gravity Sketch or like in Blender itself. You can also adjust hue here. So let me do. It needs to be a little bit more blue. Should be fine, right? So yeah, that's the general idea. All right, I finished replacing the textures. As you can see, this is the final result, and it'll do for now for this demo. Really hope you guys learned something new. If you have any questions or if I missed anything, feel free to let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.